Hey, friends.
Hey, friends.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
And we're back.
Welcome to YFI Pod.
Welcome to Wi-Fi Pod. We're going to do some deep breathing because someone had a temper tantrum. And I'm finally calming down. You know, like when you get fired up and then you calm down and you can feel like the adrenaline start to dissipate. I'm there.
I love that.
Good.
It's a good feeling.
The friends in hot tea is helping.
There we go.
Just
All right, Pop.
to clarify,
Post-anger clarity.
I just forgot something and had to go home. That was it.
That was it.
That's all the fired up call. That's all.
In a
caused it.
snowstorm.
Right. And
Come
like,
on, give yourself some credit
you
here.
know what's funny
All of a sudden.
is
Yeah.
I was about to text you, honey, to set up the tables, and I was going up 13, like it became a hill, and you could see the wall of snow. And literally, I hit the microphone because I was going to say, "Can you please set up the tables?" And I think I even said, "What the fuck is going on?" And then I don't send that because it's not it. But that was the moment I saw the wall of snow.
Yeah.
I'm like, "What is happening?"
I like that.
Of course, it's going to happen today.
It has to.
Yeah.
The twins in the stroller sent them off with the babysitter right before it happens. And then we were like, okay, a little quiet in the house. Josh went to pick up lunch. I looked out the window and all of a sudden it was like, boom, this storm.
It's the first day of spring, isn't
Happy
it?
spring
Yeah.
in
Happy
the
spring.
Finger
I
Lakes.
was like, this poor lady.
I know.
Jeez. Oh, jeez.
Front desk.
Front desk.
Who had a front desk, honey? Do we explain front desk to everybody?
I don't think so. I think you just keep saying it like it's
I do.
vernacular.
We started it on
Podcast
our own
vernacular.
podcast, and when I said I have a front desk for you, and she's like, "What's that?" It just says I'm checking in.
I like it.
I'm just gonna
It's a
check in.
check-in.
Checking in, yeah.
It's
checking
checking
in
the front desk.
So we don't call it check in; we just call it front desk.
That's perfect.
And if I put a cute little bell sound, there it is.
There it is.
There we go. Oh, wow. I love
I
that.
like that. Or the gong. No, not the gong, singing bowl.
Oh, I like that. That's good. Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that would
The
be
Wi-Fi
be a
front desk
good
bell
front
is
desk
definitely
bell.
a singing bowl.
It's definitely a singing bowl.
Should
Nice.
be.
The biggest one.
Yeah.
That's right.
So our check-in, our front desk, is about you two being the resident newlyweds on board here.
That's us.
And we would be representative of the old married couple.
Okay,
Well-
okay.
I mean, we're only in our mid-40s.
That's true.
We are our grandparents.
Also true.
Okay. So in the
In the spirit of the
in,
conversation.
Okay,
in just
sure.
the awareness of
Right.
they're newlyweds with
Right.
babies and little ones.
This is the archetype we're sliding into. Is the
and we are the old people
Gotcha.
who are empty nesters.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Right. So do you guys fight?
No. yes, of course.
Josh,
Yes.
Josh says they're not fights. I say, why are we fighting again?
I don't see common disagreements as fights so
Right,
much.
yeah,
Right.
sure.
You know?
Sure.
It's not really like I think a fight is like we're hurting each other's feelings.
Yeah.
And I grew up in a big family, so argument is a sport.
Yep.
You know, like
okay.
it's like you want to get hurt, you better have like 5 points why you believe what you believe, and still you probably won't get hurt. So
Okay.
it's been a slow learning of how that's not very beneficial in a relationship. Just a lifetime of winning arguments and losing fights, and that's just it's allowed me to at least be a little bit more clear on it, but. Because it doesn't matter if I think it's an argument, if she thinks it's an argument, right? So
I'm
learning
100%
that.
on
So I'm
board with
learning
this.
that, and
And I'm also learning to have more difficult conversations.
Oh,
and not
I
take it too
know.
personally or like, oh,
you gotta sit
There you
forward.
go.
I can't hear you in the mic.
oh
That's
no,
right.
yes.
There you go.
So you're learning to have more difficult conversations, not
Yeah.
take it personally, right? Yeah.
Yep. And also how to sort of defend myself and say, okay, you think you're winning this argument.
She's kind of
But
caught the bug a
I'm
little bit.
catching on to how to argue back.
And I'm kind of
You know?
egging her on. Like,
She's like counterpoint.
yes,
Yes, exactly.
yes.
Nice.
It's like a new muscle
I'm
that I
getting
feel
better
like,
at
yeah,
it.
I feel like you've
Yeah. I
engaged
like it, though.
in it. Yeah, see?
Before I hated it.
It's coming.
Hated it.
I
I would
knew
run
it.
to my bedroom.
It's true. At the beginning, there weren't any arguments or
Right.
discussions like that. It was just like, see ya.
Be
I'm
like,
gone.
uh-oh.
Never
Hold on.
mind.
To
We don't
the
fight.
bedroom.
We don't fight.
We don't fight.
Yes.
Yeah. But it's gotten better.
Yeah.
I fight better now.
That's
Well,
right.
because in the context of like we're gonna talk about parenting today. We're gonna talk about
Right.
specifically.
And this topic that we're starting with is adjacent.
It is
Oh, yeah.
intertwined.
It
very
is.
much so.
on the topic of like you two entering this like already parenting
You say
zone
you two, do you
happening.
mean me
You
and
and
Josh?
Josh,
Okay,
yeah.
Right. So wait, should we
Oh,
clarify that?
yes.
Yeah.
So Jeannie and I obviously are married. We've mentioned that before.
I think people know that.
Yeah, well, man, hey,
Who
we're
knows?
getting
Might be their
listeners.
first episode.
Who knows?
That's right.
It's like Stan Lee said for comic books. Every comic book could be a kid's first comic book.
That's
So
right.
you gotta,
Matt,
gotta
I
do a
love
little,
it.
gotta do a little reset.
I like
Okay.
that.
Stan Lee,
Okay.
Yeah.
the great.
We're married.
Yes.
And we're married.
It's
and
set.
and Josh and Francine are married.
That's right.
And when we started dating,
hmm
I already had 3 adolescent children.
Yes. What were the ages? Like 14, 12, and 9? Wow. 10? Something like that.
Yes. 8.
Yeah. 8, 11,
11,
13, or 14. Something like
oh,
that.
just about 14, like
Right.
just turning 14.
Yeah.
Yep. hmm
Wow.
Yeah.
And so you walked into the thick of it.
Yeah.
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 Mhm, that
Yeah.
is the
I
thing.
remember one day I was walking down the hall when I was still teaching, and two other teachers who I was friends with were having a conversation, and they had just both recently had babies.
Okay.
So they were like in the no sleep infant zone, right? And I was walking down the hall, and one of them said to me, "Oh, look at him. He did it the easy way." I was like,
I don't know about that,
sure
my
about
friend.
Are you sure?
I think you mean differently.
Right.
Definitely would not call it easier.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
And so when you two started dating, Josh and Francine, Josh walked into established parental scenario. How old were the kids?
4 and 6.
4 and 6, so even younger.
Yeah.
Even younger. So there's that dynamic that our relationships have in common. The other dynamic is that Francine and I are both 9s.
Right.
So on the like front desk,
And,
you know,
conflict,
do you
fighting.
guys fight?
Yes.
I like the question.
You cannot take out of that question the structure of argument and conflict and disagreement for a 9. Like, and how that changes. You know, this is not an 8 and a 6 fighting about something. This is not like 9s have such a conflict aversion that it can feel really hard to even call it that. Like, well, what we do isn't fighting. We have a discussion about what the next best step is.
Yeah.
Calmly,
Where
patiently.
Right. And now, so I'm a 1. So in a ideal scenario, I would just say, okay, pause. I will go upstairs and put on my suit and get my legal pad and my briefcase
Oh, no.
and be like, okay, I'm ready to present my argument and counter arguments.
yeah.
Who would like to start?
Yeah. And if I had it 100% my way, I would put on a sweatshirt, put earbuds in my ears, go listen to mantra, and ignore this whole situation until everyone is over it.
Yeah.
Like it never happened.
But
That's right.
so we're checking in with you guys about where this whole scenario is as newlyweds. And Matt says this morning, and I quote, "Sometimes I just don't even care anymore."
Heck yeah, dude. That is
And
just perfect.
It's
That is
funny.
exactly right.
I had that answer like right on the hip because last night when we were driving to the show, we were driving home from the show,
We're driving home.
and you like to think that I've been living in Ithaca for 5 years. It's like 5 years plus. So like I'm not a local, not from here, but I've been here for a while, so I should know my way around. But often when I'm trying to go someplace, I go the one way I know, and it's just like the least amount of turns, right? The easiest road. I don't like say, oh, if I take this road and go
little
the back way,
Yeah.
it's quicker. I don't like think to do that. And I am married to a local in the passenger seat who does know all these things. I think we were driving home, and I said, can you tell me which way to go? Because I often go the way I know, and it's often the wrong way because you get mad at
You
me.
did not say it like that.
And then you say, no, and then he said, I do not do that. But sometimes you don't go the right way. And sometimes I have to tell you. I'm like, well, don't just say you don't do something and then be like, well, if you didn't screw up so many times, I wouldn't have to get mad at you for how you drive home. And I was 2 sentences into that conversation when I'm like, I don't care about this anymore. This is not
I
worth
already
anything.
am bored with this argument.
Whereas
Yes.
5 years ago, first moving here, I would have kind of been like, oh, I think even maybe a year ago it happened, and I got my feathers ruffled, and
You
I just
did.
stayed quiet, and I didn't share anything. Now I'll say something, and then like, I'm already, I don't, we can move on. I don't care enough. You're going to yell at me at some, and yelling is not the right word. You're going to correct me when I did the wrong thing 10 minutes after I did it. And that's just I'm going to do that till I die. That's all it is.
Except maybe not, because when we were driving into town for the concert and you did go the incorrect way, I didn't say anything. I was just like, this is what we're doing. We're driving all the way down Route 13 to alternatives.
Yeah.
And we're going to take a left to somehow make it over on Tioga Street at the Commons. I'm like, what are we doing down
I will
here?
always drive.
Why are we in the West End?
I will always drive the right angle of that triangle rather
Always.
than doing some sort of weird squiggly hypotenuse.
In the
Which
middle.
Not
Ithaca
doing that.
tends to take you on.
It
Right.
does.
I'll just go bam, bam.
It's literally getting off the Stewart Park exit,
Sure.
and driving down Tioga Street.
I will
true.
immediately
That's true.
forget that.
And you just really love Route 13.
I do.
You know,
It's great.
Safe. It's safe and sturdy.
It's right.
You know,
I think
get it.
I think this is your
See,
jersey.
I was just
actually.
going to say, this
I
is
think
my
it's
jersey.
your jersey. I think you're like, you don't get off the throughway.
Why would I get off the throughway to do squiggly boops
Right.
when I could just
Right.
stay on the throughway?
That's right.
Because who knows what's happening when you
On
get
the
off
inside.
the throughway.
Right.
That's right.
You don't know.
Right?
At
Stop
least you know
signs,
this
one-way
consistent
streets.
pace. Yeah.
Yes.
That's right. All that.
But
Yeah.
the point is that conflict died because I just didn't care to keep having that conversation.
Well,
Like, you just, no one was going to be, I mean, you were going to be right. I could be wrong. And if we can get there quicker and end this conversation and move on to something else, the better. I don't care anymore.
which-
Being right
That's
is
experience.
less of a priority.
as time goes on.
Right. It
Yeah.
is. I just don't care. I mean, like, I can make my case and then it could be like, all right, we're done. We can move on. Whether you agree or not.
But
don't
it's
care.
funny in relationship, the things that you're willing for it to be the hill, right?
Yes.
This is going to be, like, I'll die on this hill.
Yeah.
I'll die on this hill. It's nonsense. I'm going to die on it,
Yep.
right? Like, I'm not going to watch Tom Cruise movies except for Far and Away
And
or
it-
Interview with a Vampire.
Right. You.
Those are the two
I-
exceptions.
I
Those are good
suggest Tom Cruise movies.
No.
I do
but-
all the time too.
Right.
On accident. Like I feel like I'm always bringing. I feel like when we first started dating, I was like, "Let's watch this movie," and I was like, and we watched like 6 movies. I was like, "I think we watched like 5 Tom Cruise movies in a row," and she hated all of them.
Yeah.
I don't think she liked a single one of them.
That's what.
But there's fun ones. There's
Oh.
some fun.
And then we had a whole Batman.
Yeah, we did all the
thing.
Batmans. And,
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Which you have to do.
you have to.
Absolutely.
You have
Dark
to.
Knight and
Yeah. Oh, I'll suggest, like, because I knew she didn't watch it. I watched Maverick when it came out on video. Amazing.
Sick.
So good.
Really good.
And then, like, because the newest Mission Impossible came out last summer,
Yep.
so, like, watched them all up until then. I'm
Yeah.
like, these are so much fun. And I'm like,
I
you
try
got
to do that
like,
all the
they're
time.
so much fun. Like, they're great. They know exactly what kind of movie it is. They're just spy thrillers, and they nail it every time.
Yeah.
And you're like, Tom Cruise is blah, blah, blah,
And
blah,
I'm
blah,
like,
blah.
how about we watch Angela's Ashes?
I mean, this is another kind of offshoot of this where it's like not a fight, but like a. Can we watch Angela's Ashes? I'm like, ugh. Can we watch like?
It's
I'd
like
really rather watch
counter offer
Counter offer. Can we watch Avengers?
That I like it.
because those are the same. They're in the same
Really, exactly.
same category.
That's right.
Oh my god.
God. Yep.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I think that with the 9, I think that it's, for me, I've learned that answer is absolutely the best answer.
Which answer?
Is that I don't care anymore, actually. The more that I think about it, the you're not giving me the fight that I was looking for.
Right.
And so, like, I want you to get emotional about this with me, and you're, like, just going, I'm not talking about this right now. And I'm just like, what? Wait, I am talking about it, though. And you are just on one today. I'm just like this. Wait, oh, okay, yeah, all right. Yeah, that's probably all right. And then that's it. And then we don't have to fight about it, and then I just, continue on.
Or when he gets amped about something, like we all just witnessed. I think it's hilarious. Like
Yeah.
and And
That's a good
and I
approach.
never mean it in like your feelings aren't valid.
Right. You're not like, oh, you're so cute.
Right. I'm not.
Is someone upset?
today.
Yeah.
This is
Never. It's never.
not about that.
You don't undercut me at all.
I'm just like, wow, this is invoking such a strong reaction, and it's kind of impressive. And when you get like all puffed up and like kerfuffly about things, and
Wait,
like
forget what I said about undercutting.
Yeah.
like when you get like that, I'm just like, this is amazing. This is so cute. Like, and not cute like, oh, like you're cute.
Look at
You're
you,
just a
little
cute
cutie.
guy.
Yeah.
Like, look at you
Wow.
being cute.
I'm
So
so
mad.
lucky that
That is a great response to
Exasperation,
that.
and when
Yeah.
you've crossed the threshold into like just you can't even finish full sentences because you're so exasperated, and like volume gets loud and face gets redder, but like nothing cohesive is coming out. I'm just like, this is
There's
amazing.
no progress.
Oh my god.
And then, there's the time that like it's such serious anger and like you're mad like at Delta when you're like
Oh,
mad
yeah.
at the airline.
That's really mad.
That-
That's real mad.
Yeah.
I've only seen that like twice, maybe.
Right.
And in those moments, I actually, we're going to have to mark this as explicit.
Okay.
I'm a little turned on. Because you start using crazy vocabulary words from like the SATs, and you have a bulleted point of all these things that you can just like rattle off, and like you're throwing out words like egregious and
let's go.
like it feels so powerful, and it's never directed at me, so I'm
No,
just like,
not ever.
Did you hear him? Yeah. Uh-huh.
This is egregious.
This is
There you go.
egregious.
You heard him.
Speaking in cursive.
Speaking in
Yeah.
lawsuit.
I maintain it's similar in tone and nature to Brody from Mallrats,
Okay.
Jason Lee's character.
Yeah, it's true.
So that may be it.
Yep.
Maybe I just channel my inner Brody.
Yeah, your volume, your inflection
Yeah.
can be similar, and so I just am tickled. I love
Yeah,
it.
you are. I'm thankful
Mm-hmm.
because I wouldn't want to create a scenario where you were like afraid or
Right.
like uncomfortable or anything like that. So if I could fly off the handle that way, and you're just like, what an adorable
How
man.
funny. This guy.
Look at my
This
husband.
is great.
This
Let's
guy.
put this on
Look at this
YouTube.
guy.
Actually, I should say I'm not yelling a lot at other people.
Right.
Like, you're not just sitting back, like, watching me berate someone behind the counter, like, of the Starbucks.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of just, like, I'm just talking to nobody.
Letting it out.
Like, letting it all out.
Yeah.
I'm just,
Yeah.
like, venting to the universe. And you're
Yep.
just like, that's adorable.
It is. Really, really is. It is.
Yeah.
But I would say for most of the time we argue, debate, whatever word we want to use,
Mhm.
in a very clear and conscious way.
Right. Here, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
How often do I admit that, like, you're right and I'm wrong? And do I do so, like, by, like, I don't want to quit an argument if I'm wrong, but like, oh, I'm wrong. Well, just say something hurtful or blow it up and just stomp away.
Yeah.
I don't want to, like, admit that. I feel like I do a good job, like, ugh, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
I
That's a skill.
concede.
That's a super.
Oh, that's
That's a superpower.
that.
I mean, you just say it. Like you're right. You're right. you're right. You're right. There's definitely a little bit of like,
Damn it.
yeah. It's
Not
like,
again?
Not
Drat.
again. It's like,
you
you know what? You're
you're right.
gonna say you are.
And there's usually this. You're right. You're right. I know that you're right. And you will say, this is where I was coming from, and we can usually, we can quickly get to that place
Right.
if there is really something. But
I try not to say where I was coming from as like an excuse. It's
Yeah.
more of just like, this is my POV kind of thing. This
Yep.
is like where I'm coming from. Not like, well, I said this because of all these reasons why I fell into this point of view, and not like that I chose it consciously kind of thing.
exactly.
For us, our disagreements are, I think, heightened by the volume in the house.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
So like there's like a consistent like the thing that makes it frustrating for both of us, like, is we can never have a conversation that is surrounded by quiet. Like, there is somebody yelling at the gate as we're talking, "Mama, Dada, Mama."
Oh,
like,
at the baby gate.
We have a baby gate because the stairs. So that when I'm cooking in the kitchen, they're at the gate right there, both of them just right there, like waiting and watching for us to either come back in the room and if we start talking to each other, they both chime in. Mm-hmm. So they start to join in, and then our older kids, they don't care if we're talking at all. They don't. Joshie, like, Joshie. Like, as we're talking, all four of them are trying.
Do you know
like,
where that pink pencil is that I had last Tuesday?
I lost my money.
No, we don't know. We don't know where this
We don't know. And can you read the room?
And for us, we're both a little bit Vata heads, you know?
Yeah,
we got some of that going on. So it's like our focus is limited already, and then it's just like it's the volume that brings it up, you know? Like, and I think that's it's a unique challenge.
And I'm always like, not in front of the kids.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, like,
We
let's
can
just not
wait
even talk about it,
until
you know?
A few more hours and have like a real conversation, you know, about it.
Well, and that works in her favor too, because then she gets to walk away. So it's the perfect, like, it's the perfect, like, tool to be like, we can't even, let's just later. We can talk about it later. And then I land where you land. I definitely don't care.
Don't care anymore.
I couldn't care less about this.
Isn't that beautiful though?
Yeah, that's an interesting solution.
It is.
It's beautiful
I
as
didn't realize that it just kind of floated away. It wasn't that serious.
Right.
well, and that's the thing, right? If
That's
it
the
floats
hard
away,
part. Yes.
if it actually floats away, it wasn't that serious.
Right.
If it is that serious, it's gonna come back around.
Yeah.
It's gonna
Right.
come right back, and it might be wearing different shoes, but it's gonna come back.
Oh,
it's
yes.
gonna the theme underlying the argument is gonna come back.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I would say that, I mean, you know, circling back around to what we're here to talk about.
We're really here to talk
what
about.
we're really
Yeah.
here to talk about is it's like you both entered a place and a space where there were norms.
Right.
There were things already established. There was
Yeah.
parenting routines to a degree already established. And like we've joked on our personal podcast how differently we were raised.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh, my
how,
God.
you know, how you were raised, whether you're conscious of it or not, is going to come into your parenting. You can have a moment of like, definitely not doing that. That was bad. That was really bad. And then you can have other moments where like, okay, this was an okay part. I liked this part of how I was raised. Like, I'm going to bring that. I'm going to make sure that's a thing. You know, and then there's the unconscious things that when you're stressed, when you're sleep deprived, when you're overworked, when you're overwhelmed, right? You just default to saying things or having standards of things. So walking into already established parenting, finding your bearings, and then being in that step parent role. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo.
My Lord.
Woo.
Yeah.
And a lot of our arguments, I would say, probably the majority of them, if we were to categorize them all, have been about parenting.
Probably. Yeah. I think so.
Differences.
And not like the first day I met the kids. I was like, this is horseshit. What are you doing here?
What's going on in here?
What kind of circus is this?
Chaos.
Madhouse.
No, it was definitely not that. But I mean, for me, coming into that, it is tricky. It's like how I came in and just like, you're the boss. This is your show. Never going to try it. Like, I will take your cues for I don't even know how long. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, after a couple months, after this or whatever. It's like, it's such a weird thing, especially when you first like discipline children,
man.
like
My
the
Lord.
first time, and you feel like comfortable enough to do it, and then like if it lands, or it could be like, what am I listening to you for? I'm not going to do that. Like, how can you do that? Step into that role and discipline, and be heard without being like overbearing, and like be like respected and respectful. Like that was also tricky. But like the initial was like, this is your show. I am just thank you for including me. I'm taking your lead, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
How long did you guys date before you met her kids? Do you remember?
Like for realsy?
Yeah,
Because
like,
I mean,
get to
one
spend
time I
time with
picked
them
you
for
up to go
real.
to a movie in 2 or 3 months, and like I picked you up, came inside, it was like, hi, hello, this is Matt, and then we left. Right? It wasn't like
Yeah.
a really
Yeah, but the kids knew you before that because we worked together.
right.
So, actually, what had happened was we were sneaky dating.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
We were sneaky dating
Uh-huh.
Because of work.
because of so many things.
So many
Oh,
different
yeah.
things.
So many
Lots of
things.
things.
So many
I mean, it was just like it was like
That's probably why you guys, be fun. That's a really fun thing to do, probably.
we,
Not gonna lie.
Undercover date.
It was
that's
hard yes.
That
Hard
makes
yes.
That makes it
hard yes.
Yeah.
fast.
We had to, and because yes, we worked together and the kids,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't want to like introduce them to randos, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
Totally.
Absolutely.
So
I didn't want to be introduced to randos. In
Right.
that point
Right.
of view, right?
Right.
It's like
Absolutely.
these are random children.
these are random
who
children.
I have no role. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
right.
question
I may
big
or
ol-
may not know.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
And we had worked together for a couple years at that point, and I was looking for someone to do guitar lessons with
Okay.
my oldest, and Abby wanted to play guitar. So, without divulging to the kids that there was any kind of monkey business, because it was so casual at that point. Like it
Oh,
felt very, very
yeah.
casual. Like it, yeah. And he came over. He started coming over on Wednesdays to teach Abby to play guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And then Abby, who in our home is the hardest sell. Like Abby's the
oldest.
last person
yeah.
who's going to
Makes
think
sense.
anything is impressive that anyone is doing.
It's true. Absolutely.
Certainly some guy that I bring into the house, right? So she's like, she gets to spend this time with Matt learning guitar, and then she's like, well, he should stay for dinner, Mom. Like, it's only fair that like he stays for dinner. And I'm like, all
It was
right.
pretty cute. Yeah.
So she was always like or her impression, I think, was she was coercing you into staying for dinner.
Perfect.
And it was like burrito Wednesdays
Yep.
every Wednesday.
go.
Yep.
So all of her favorite things: burritos, guitar lessons, thinking that she's orchestrating this entire thing.
Yeah, she's in charge.
And
Right.
so
It's
yeah,
the oldest
That's
child.
perfect. Oh my
Yeah.
god,
It's like
the
That is
project manager
That's
role.
perfect in every way.
in
right
every
there.
way, in every
man.
way. But I think like it was probably a few months after that happened that it was like Matt and I are going on a
Right.
date.
It definitely was that all before or after like New Year's?
Way after.
Way after, right?
I think it was like probably March. It was probably around this
Yeah,
time of
I
year.
think it was springtime.
And you came in and it was a weekend and the kids were there, and also our house was like Grand Central Station of other children because
yeah.
we lived in the village. It was easy to walk to our house. So there had to have been an extra 4 or 5 kids on top of the 3
Oh, yeah.
kids that lived there, just
Hanging.
running
Just hanging.
around
Yeah,
the
just
house.
hanging out.
I love it.
So he walks in and it's a big deal, and I'm going on a date, and they're all like, meh, 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 meh. You know, the girls come running down the stairs, and I think you pulled your inhaler out of your pocket.
Maybe. I don't recall this at all. So I
Yeah,
trust in
and
you.
like did your little inhaler thing. And Madeline and her friends were like, "Oh, he's nervous." I was like, "Yeah, he's nervous
Oh,
about
that's awesome.
going to the movies."
That's
I was
right.
like, sure, I am.
That's
Yeah.
right.
This is
Big deal.
This is a good card. If I had done that intentionally to invoke that
Right.
reaction, that would have been genius. 'Cause that's like,
That's right.
you bet I am, kid.
That's right.
All right.
I'm extra vulnerable.
Right.
And it was another 6 or 8 months, 9 months after that you moved in.
Yeah, the following like November,
Yeah.
because I think we talked about it around Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it was December when I actually moved in. Right.
So it was a pretty he did this incremental move where he moved from where you were
Right.
living, which was kind of near the school where we were teaching, to 2 blocks away in like a 1-bedroom
It was great.
That sounds
cupboard
awesome.
under the stairs.
That's like kind of what I did.
apartment.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
almost exactly.
It was like a tiny apartment. There
Not
was
on
like
purpose, though.
a bedroom and then like living room, kitchen.
Mhm.
It was awesome.
And so he could walk to our house. I could walk to his house. And at that point, I was a pretty strict, like, we don't have TV.
Mm-hmm.
We had no TV. We had no streaming services. Like, we had DVDs. They could watch DVDs. And like, I mean, we had computers and the internet, but it just wasn't. And
not sitting
streaming
around.
wasn't
you didn't
happening.
have, I
the way
mean,
that it
really
is
the
now.
only thing at that point was probably Netflix.
It was just
yeah.
Netflix, and I didn't have any of it. And Matt had all of it.
Oh yeah.
Matt had
that's awesome.
9 bajillion movies. So like he would come over.
I had the Netflix disc plan and streaming
Let's
plan.
go. That's awesome.
and he would come over and we would just be like hanging out on the couch, whatever. And the kids would be like,
Can we watch some movies?
can we go to your apartment? So it was great.
Yeah.
And the 3 kids.
Oh, that's awesome.
I mean, led by the 14-year-old at that point.
Yeah.
Would just stroll over to his apartment. They're over
Absolutely.
there watching movies. We're like, get out of the house. This is
Oh,
great.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
We get 2 hours by ourselves.
That's good.
So, and they all were like, this is the coolest apartment in the whole world.
That is cool. That's like a cool thing to do. It's an age
Yeah.
where that's grown up to you.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, like that's like what a future could look like
Uh-huh.
Right.
if you're as cool as Matt.
Yeah.
You know, like
Indiana Jones poster on
Let's
the
go.
wall.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
exactly.
Oh,
you know.
it was like a painting of like the Temple of Doom poster.
Uh-huh.
I bought it like Blockbuster for like $10, like over my bed or some stupid place like that.
I bet.
Framed
Oh, that's
Superman
incredible.
pictures,
Yeah,
right? It
it's
was
set up perfect.
yeah, they were like, this is the coolest thing that we've ever experienced.
Oh,
we
that's
just want to
awesome.
be at Matt's apartment. And I was like, great. We're
Perfect.
going to be home.
Yes.
We'll be here in the
We'll
quiet.
be here in the quiet.
That's
Josh
awesome.
called his place the Love Nest.
That's right.
The Love Nest.
It was the Love Nest because
Nice.
we met during the pandemic. So our entire relationship was number one, like sped up incredibly because there was like nothing else to do.
Right,
We were
yeah.
both
Everything was
transplants. It's like
closed.
we were each other's only friend, and like so we saw each other for what 8 months before I met your kids.
8 months.
Yeah, and that was like kind of because of COVID, kind
Right,
of because
yeah.
of like like just she wanted to make
So
sure.
many things.
So
Yeah.
many
There were
things.
lots of reasons.
Yeah.
But I got to kind of slowly, incrementally introduced myself by
You
like
did.
doing chores. Like I would shovel. I would like come by.
Oh, who's that? Outside the window, and they just sit there.
I'd
by
see them in the window,
looking.
like
And I'd
looking
be
at
like,
me.
"That's Mama's friend. That's my friend.
Yeah.
She came to help."
And I drop off cereals because they never had at this point. They had never had like Cinnamon Toast Crunch or like,
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
stuff that I grew up with. Like
Right.
my mom didn't let us get all the time, but I would drop off
Treat
a couple
cereals.
Yeah,
Oh,
some
yeah.
treat
Yeah, the treat
cereals
cereal.
and
Mhm.
Dunkin'
Fruity
Donuts
Pebbles.
on Fridays, and just little
Soup.
things,
Yep.
just like to kind of show that I exist. Because
Yeah.
I was like, I wonder when she's gonna introduce me, you know. And we didn't really have a conversation. I didn't want to put any pressure on it, you know. And I felt like there was, it was obviously part of the expectation at the beginning was like, you know, she didn't like hide her kids or anything like
Yeah.
that.
Right.
You know, like there was no hidden like aspect to it. It was like we're package deals, so like I felt like it was more of like a prove it that you're that interested, you know, like to meet them before a relationship starts to form with them. You know, like it was like a protective thing. It felt like.
Yeah.
But you tell me, what do you think?
I think it was more like
You'll get used to it.
it was more like a make sure that you really want to stick around as my very good friend.
Yeah.
You know, like, even if it didn't work out, that you're that kind of guy that has the right head on his shoulders, the good heart, sticks around, and we can still be friends. Like
Right.
even in those cases, I never thought of it that way. I knew I wanted you to stay, and I was doing my best to make that all work out. But you never know. So I knew at that point, you never know, and let's get to know each other better.
Well, ours is very. I mean, we grew up in different. You know, we grew up in different ways.
Yeah.
for sure. And so when I came in, they had a whole routine. Everybody, it was like kind of you have to wait and see. It's like
Right.
such a fine line of like, all right, so I'm definitely not your dad, and you know, like, and I'm spending a good enough amount of time with you to where like I could see where I could help. You know, like, and like as someone who grew up with a lot of kids in our house, it was like kind of an expectation that if you see things, you do it.
Yeah.
You know, like it was like, so I had a hard time, I think, at first, like holding back and being like, all right, like you're like kind of yelling at your mom, you know, like, or, like those type of things where their relationship had been what it already was, you
Right.
know, like, and Francine is so patient with them and like has such a a leash that I didn't have, you know, like when I was growing up, in a way that like I love, you know, but because I hadn't been a parent in my life yet, you know, like I went from living in a tent to basically having 2 kids, you know, like out of nowhere.
Yes.
And so a wife and kids, you know, like
Yeah.
2 kids, and they taught me, you know, like how to be patient, because really, in my opinion, in relationship, in being a parent, it's basically all about being patient. It's like,
Yeah, it's about grace.
It's the number one.
Yeah.
The thing that I pray for the most is grace. It's like, please just
Right.
don't let me fall for the frustration trap, because then I am responding in a way that I never want to, like whether it's with her or with the kids.
Yep.
You know? And so it's a constant. I feel like that's the number one. If I could focus on that, I'll be fine. You know, like, because I understand the amount of patience it takes for people to feel comfortable with you. You know, like I think you probably, with the oldest, you know, with Annabella, I definitely waited my turn with her.
Yeah.
You know, like, and it paid off, but it took a long time. Like there was a long time of me never correcting, never directing, never, like, I was just a fly on the wall for support, if ever, if wanted, if desired, whatever.
Right. And then there's that first time where you
got to. I'm still working towards it, you know, honestly. Yeah, I'm still like in a place with her where I'm, you know, I'm still kind of earning it.
Yeah.
I feel like, for sure.
And how old is she now?
She's
She's gonna be 10 in April.
in
Okay.
April. Yeah.
She's just she has a very strong mind.
Yeah.
She's got it all figured out already.
Yes.
Well, I mean, most of them do by that age.
Yeah,
Right?
you know.
They got it.
Uh-huh.
Well, and it's like an oldest.
does.
I think it's an oldest thing.
Absolutely.
And she
You know, like-
loves Josh. She
Oh yeah, we're great friends now. Best
is
buds.
obsessed and thinks he's the world of him. And she draws pictures and brings them home for him of him.
Yeah. It's fun, and I think it is that how being a step parent is totally about being a fly on the wall. I think.
Yeah.
Like,
that's
it's
like
It's hard.
that's
yeah.
that's the first step. I think,
Yes,
like,
yes.
if you're gonna write a book about chapter 1 is like fly on the wall.
Yes.
Like that's how
Observe.
you have to observe and report, and that's
Yes.
it.
Learn about who these people are, because you're the visitor.
Yeah.
Like it's like
Right.
you're the
And that's
alien.
a really tough spot.
You know.
I
It's
think,
Such
to
a
be
tough
in.
spot.
Yeah.
To feel like you're always a visitor. And
Well,
never
and-
really.
In particular, because in our situations, right, like both you were very aware that our children have a great relationship with their dad. Like,
Oh,
this isn't
yeah.
a situation, and that's your situation too. Like,
Yeah, totally.
Like, this isn't a scenario where you're coming in as a step parent and there's like a missing parent.
Right.
Right.
Right. Like there isn't
Or like
this,
a
you know,
contentious
a
relationship.
contentious or like an absent, like
Right.
the kid's relationship with their dad is established
Which
and great.
for me was such a green flag. I
Oh, yeah.
remember one of my former teaching partners asked about the relationship, or like asked about the relationship with Michael and the kids with their dad, and I'm like, it is healthy. They communicate. He's around and present. I've
Wants to
met
be
him.
involved.
Wants to be involved.
Yep.
Like, it may have been at the point where we were like going to Abby's like softball and field hockey games, and we were like all there, and it
Yeah,
like wasn't a
that's
thing.
true.
I'm like, this is such a green flag. And I think the reaction was like, really? Like, he's involved and around, and that's like, I'm like, I think it's awesome. Like,
Yeah.
it's great. Like, it's so. To me, it was like, this is healthy. This is very good. Like, we get so caught up in like the norm is like, oh, I hate my ex, and it's like you fight every time there's a pickup and drop off, and it's like that happens a lot, and that just is because that's, you know, it's hard to navigate that kind of whole environment. So like, it's like the outlier really is like if there's less of that, which is hard to do. So I
Well,
was
I'm
just
gonna-
like, this is amazing. Like, I'm just impressed.
I'm going to bring it back around to being a 9 though, because there were definitely moments where I think Michael would have liked to have fought about things at pickup, or like just wanted to be like,
Claws in.
you know, just like, I'm going to do this annoying thing to see if it's annoying to you. And I would just be like, you're going to do whatever you're going to do. I don't have to live with you anymore. So I'm so psyched.
Now, from my
like,
point,
I'm
it
just so psyched I don't have to live with you. Like, this,
it
this is
never
great.
appeared toxic and hurtful and really negative. like to me it's different than like annoying, which is not great also. But I never got like the red flag feeling. Like I never felt like he's dangerous. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I never thought
he was never going to be dangerous to the kids or
Right.
to me, to
Yeah,
us.
right.
Yeah. Yep. He's just there. So it's like
Exactly.
he's just there.
It's another factor.
there.
It is another factor, and it's. I think that it also just takes an extra level of consciousness coming in as a step parent, where even though it would have been more pressure if there was no other parent around, like, ooh, this is really going to be on you if you step into this role. There also is probably a sense of ease for many people if they walk into a relationship, like, oh, I don't have to deal with like, being the
Drama.
second dad, right? And I think that our kids don't, at this point, that doesn't even occur to them to think about as like, this is their dad and this is their stepdad, I mean, they call you Matt, they don't call you dad.
Yeah.
And I think that in their minds, or when they're talking about it with their friends, it's like, I have two dads. I think actually one of the kids was talking about their two dads once, and someone was like,
Aww.
are your dads gay?
Right.
Like, what?
Right.
and
Yeah.
and she's like, no. That's not what I mean by two dads. But
My kids call Josh Joshy.
Yeah.
Joshy.
Joshy.
Yeah.
I'm Joshy. And I think for that also is a blessing of the ages you came into. Is like that established, relationship and the distance between you two to where it's been that many years since you guys were a shared family.
right.
Like,
it had been years.
and
Yeah.
I came in with being 4.
Yeah.
So that was a very different understanding and confusion that comes along with like, but I love this guy. and
Right.
Uh-huh.
My dad. And
It's a very, like-
Right.
Why are we all like? Many times we get the why aren't we all living together?
Uh-huh.
Like
I know.
why don't all 3 of us live in a house together?
Yep.
And I'm like, well,
That's tricky,
that's
especially
a story for when you're older. Like I don't know. That's where like go
at
ask your
that
mom.
age. It could be very like this or that, black and white, and
Totally.
it's just like
Uh-huh.
this dad and then Josh. It's like there's an either or, like like a choice that has to be made, and
Right.
not. Like,
Well, I think
it's
there
a-
is jealousy. I mean,
yeah.
like
Oh,
jealousy.
Of course.
Jealousy kicks in around like the kids' relationship, and we had our kids more than Michael did. He was like this was not a 50-50 situation ever. And so, he definitely had expressed just jealousy on the closeness and that kind of stuff. And, the kids not getting it. And even though they were older, they would be like, well, maybe dad comes over for all of Christmas too. And like, we're all here on Christmas Day. Like we could just have one Christmas. And me being a 9, I'm like, sure, we could all have one Christmas. Like, I don't care. Everyone just be nice. Like, cause
Right.
if anybody is not nice, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And I cook everything. So,
I'm bringing the food with me.
bring the food.
And you know what? I think it wouldn't have been that many years in for me to be like, yes, absolutely.
Right. No,
Like,
it's always
totally.
been Michael.
Right.
Like,
oh, yeah. I mean,
Michael
to
has
this-
always been the one that's like, no way.
even to this day. I think
He'll be
even-
like, I can't go into Matt's house.
oh,
And
it's
I'm
so
like,
weird.
what the fuck are you
Like,
talking about? So
I mean,
weird.
especially definitely when we lived still in Hoosick Falls, but like
Uh-huh.
even moving up here since 2016, in my head I'm like, dude, your children live here.
Right.
Please come
just
inside.
come
Yeah,
inside
come on.
to
I'm
get
not
them.
key-
Stop
I'm
being
not
a
like-
weirdo.
And also like, I hope he communicates that. I don't be like, why is Matt making dad wait outside? Like, that's not it. Please
I think
come
the children are
inside.
very aware.
Right.
They understand the
And
sitch.
I was even like this fall when I think like we were talking about the first Thanksgiving we were going to have at our new house. And I was like, apparently I'm in like hosting phase of my life
Yes.
where I'm like,
That's
please,
cool.
everyone I know, come over for parties. I love it. And I usually hate people and don't want to go out. It's really weird.
You're in a new chapter.
I really am.
I love
I'm
it.
leaning
I can
into
tell.
it.
I can tell.
I'm leaning into it.
It's a beautiful thing.
And I was hearing about what Michael was or wasn't going to do on Thanksgiving.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, does he just want to come over? Because
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Please come
Yeah.
over, have dinner. I'm cool with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally not weird. I don't mind at all.
That's awesome.
Weird for him, though.
Yeah.
Continuously weird for him.
Hmm.
Yep.
Aw.
It will be, I think. And that's fine. Everybody gets to process it
Oh.
in the way. But, what I do think is there's always going to be the person who sets the standard of parenting styles. And not that I would put you, honey, in the category of like authoritative parenting, because I don't think that you're that. But I do think that we've joked periodically about how you wish that I disciplined the children the way that I disciplined the dogs.
Yep.
And I wish that you didn't get angry with the children the way that you don't get angry with the dogs.
That's fair.
Yeah, that's true. That is 100% true. Well, that's about balance. I mean, it works out.
It is about balance. That's true.
And something that we have found, that we noticed through the years, is when there's nonsense with the kids, we pass the baton of irritation.
Yeah, like without,
Oh,
like
yeah.
instinctually.
Yep.
Yes.
I don't know how we do it.
Right.
I don't know how. And I don't want to think about it too much because it's just
It's
a
like
miracle.
magic. Yeah, it just
It's
happens.
seriously,
Yeah,
it's
that's
just
that,
like
yeah.
magic.
Where I'm at my wit's end. Like, I'm like, if I walk into this house and there are dishes in the sink after I've been working all day and they've been laying around because it's summer break, I'm going to lose my freaking mind.
Yeah.
And like, sure enough, it happens. And Matt's like, okay, so like, let's all come out in the kitchen and do the things that need to be done. And I'm going to start washing and you're going to dry and
That's
people
right.
put stuff away. And like, maybe we order a pizza. And I'm like upstairs with steam coming out of my
And
ears.
at first, it was like, we're going to be nice and help mom. Let's everyone go. It wasn't too much longer. I'm like, you're going to get your freaking butt in the kitchen now. She is fired up and angry and doesn't deserve it. And I have to deal with it more than
Anyone else? Yes, exactly.
I am the one.
The tone
Yes.
shifted, but
Yeah.
I mean, the goal was the same.
That's true.
Well, I mean, they started inching ever closer to the age of 18.
Yep.
So we're like,
helps.
you got to
Yeah, that
clean
helps.
up now.
Exactly,
or what
yes.
kind of
Or
house
what's
are you
going
going to
on?
live
Yes,
in
exactly.
when you're an adult? We're responsible for this.
That's right.
amazing.
This is one of those lessons. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
You know what I think helped me is being a teacher. Because I think by the time we met, it may have been my 6th or 7th year.
Yep.
And just the idea of like every year you get a new batch of kids
Right.
or a semester in our school's situation. So it's like there's that tenuous relationship where like
totally.
I'm in charge. I'm not going to stomp around like I'm in charge. Like there are rules and we can talk about them all. And I'm going to have to like enforce some guidelines in here. You got a problem? We can talk about it. It's like that delicate kind of dance. And that's kind of how I approached it, where it's
Yep.
just like slowly and easily and not just like, slam my fist on the
Well,
desk
because
and
it's
be
a
like,
similar scenario, right? Like kids are raised how they're raised. There are standards of behavior in each of their homes, and you get to be with 100 of them in a day, and you're not going to change like the overall climate of how they have been raised and parented,
Right.
And you are a teacher, and you get to have standards for how you want your classroom to feel and be. And so I'm not a parent, I can be in this teacher archetype. And you were very much that with our kids. And
because there were so many years where like there was a couple classes where I have what essentially is a set of rabid Wolverines. And I need to tread lightly and carefully and deal with conflict and then do the job I got to do.
Right.
So it's like just, it's that careful dance where it's like, how do you discipline and have rules, but also not butt heads for the sake of butting heads, which
sure.
Yeah.
teacher, student, parent, child often happens, where it's
Yeah.
like the fighting just to fight and
power struggles.
power struggles. Yeah.
Well, and I think me and Matt are lucky, and I'm going to give us some credit here, that we're not old school toxic masculinity guys.
Right.
Like where it's like, I feel like in the way that a stepdad, like an evil stepdad, like archetype is like they come in and enforce rules that weren't there before, right?
Yeah.
They don't change at all.
Establish
It's their
dominance.
house. They come in and be the alpha, and they tell everyone, it's like, no, your mom's with me now. This is my house. You're
Yep.
my kids, you
Yep.
know? And like, I'm so grateful that I'd never felt like that. Like I didn't feel that way because I felt like that would be disrespectful to my wife, you know, like
Yeah.
who has earned their respect and knows them better and like all those type of things that I had to take her lead, you know, like and follow I mean, she taught me how to parent her kids, you know, like, because I had no experience at all. So, but I was a teacher too. So like, I'm a voice teacher. So like, I had taught kids from 5 to through high school.
Wow.
And so because of that, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
You ease your way in to motivate and to like accommodate.
Yeah, and build a relationship.
Exactly.
Yeah, build trust. Yeah, it's hard.
Without humbling yourself, though, like without trying to dominate, you can't, because you can't dominate in that situation either anymore. And it just is a healthier relationship in general, because it's starting off with somebody who's saying, I don't have to be in charge. It's like, and I'm not in charge. Your mom's in charge, which is like my favorite thing to say. Is like,
And it was a really, really positive thing in the house when you started living with us and sort of saying, "Mom's in charge."
Yeah.
I
Mom's in
reinforce
charge.
that.
You reinforce that I'm in charge.
Yeah.
And I think that in the separation, the initial separation with their father, they kind of like were unsure if I was in charge or not. Somehow there was something put in their head that I was not. Like they could, and maybe it was me. I kind of let them do whatever they wanted a little bit. And out of my guilt, you know, I had guilt. I had all these different emotions that I was working through. So when you walked in, you set a nice, like, standard in the household. You were like, why? Why do you talk to mom that way? She loves you. She's doing everything to support you. You, like, set the tone. You help them see.
That's good use of guilt, Josh.
Yeah.
Pro
Very-
parenting move.
Trust me.
Nice.
That's one of my. I have some weapons in there, you know, I got from my parents.
Created a nice balance in the household.
Yeah, but that support is essential.
Oh,
right? It's like
it helped. It definitely, I could tell, it actually made things so much more peaceful.
You're
in the
my
house.
ally.
Yes,
Yeah.
there's
You
like
know?
there's a reinforcement that not only do you need to respect your mother, but she loves you more than anything. Like me saying that even is something that was like oh yeah, that is the perspective that's true. You know, like and that's, you know.
And Josh is such an amazing communicator. He is. Thanks. You are. And has helped me a lot in my way of parenting as well, with communicating more but openly and not being so afraid to express.
Well,
my
I think when I came in, you were doing the 9 thing with your kids. You were like, you're like, I just, you know, I love you guys. Everything's great.
Pillows and
Yep.
Relax and just don't go to sleep. It's okay.
Right. And I'm like, it's
all stay up
11
all
though. Yeah. Yeah. So it's been
Still
a lot of give and take for sure, and learning and humility. It's like consistent humility, because I think that when you are coming into a family that's already created, it's like, because it's a new thing for you that you care about. It's because you care that you're like, wait, like, but I want to like get in the fight. Like, you know, like I want to get in the game, you know, like this is all happening around me and I'm not a passive influence on this situation, you know, like I am here. We are here.
Right.
Like, so how do I fit? How do I fit into this? You know, and I still struggle with that sometimes.
Sometimes Josh will stand in the kitchen and I'll be having an argument with one of the kids or with both of them. Like, it's time for this. It's time to get dressed, or it's time to go to your room for bed. And they won't listen for whatever. And I keep repeating myself, and he'll text me, tell them that you're going to take away their device. And he's
Tell them there's
standing in the
ramifications. Yes.
kitchen, looking at me going like this. And I'm like, okay, you're right. That's right. I'm going to take away.
There will be some ramifications here.
There are some consequences.
Yep.
Yes.
There are consequences.
There has to
Yeah,
be sometimes. You know.
It's very cute and very funny. I'm afraid to, put my foot down.
That's right.
I think I've gone in the opposite direction. For all of my 9-ness and wanting there to be peace, I think because I was so young when those kids were born that I was afraid that I was going to be the mom that didn't have enough rules or didn't know what she was doing or came across like everything was chaotic. And so I had I doubled down on this is the way. And I've actually mellowed. I mean, as time went on, as I was teaching more, as I was seeing teenagers from different walks of life all kind of doing the same stuff regardless of what is going on at home, I just didn't take myself as seriously as a mother and was like, oh yeah.
I didn't get that at all. By the time I got there, definitely there was structure, there were expectations, there were guidelines, rules, but I never felt like the hammer is dropping
Right.
consistently. Kind of thing. Yeah.
Yep. But
Except-
to hear them talk, to hear them.
That has
I
totally
was-
changed my perspective about parenting too. Is my siblings' perspective on my parents?
Oh, everybody's perspective on their
it's like
parents.
understanding that
Yeah.
no matter what you do, you failed.
It
You know?
doesn't matter.
Like, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
You could have done better. Everyone was in peril. It's like like it is.
You know, I'm like trying to make sure they're eating vegetables and tofu and whole grains and, like what a jerk I was because
my
I
gosh.
yelled at them for peeing on the floor and blaming it on the dog. Like,
Right.
It's like mom lost her mind.
Yeah.
Mom's so angry all the time,
Until you are.
And then they really know.
Watch out.
And it was a special treat. When either the better part was if I was already upstairs and someone was really getting it downstairs, someone was really getting and because I enjoyed it because they had it coming.
Yeah.
This
Because
was
it
never
takes so much.
Be-
To get
so
me
much
there.
to get there. Yeah.
Because it takes so much, not only that, but they had done something where like, ooh, this
Yes.
is not good.
Yeah.
So I would just, the spiritual popcorn, I was just chewing on at the top of the stairs, trying to hear someone get their butt chewed out.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just
it was just like, it's like, and only because, and like all three of them, I would just eavesdrop when I could, all three, and only, and the pure joy was just like, you had this come in. Your mother is a saint,
Yeah.
and this is not okay,
Well,
right?
I don't know about
there
a
was,
saint,
There was
but-
never an instance.
In our eyes.
I don't think there was ever. Maybe there are sometimes when something was about to happen, like we passed the baton, you had it, and I was like, okay, someone was worried to come tell you something. Don't prove them right. Like
Yep.
you have to
Yep.
take a breath.
Yep.
Just so you
And
know.
that's right.
Yeah.
But there are also times I was like, oh, I see a little flame of anger.
Yeah, guess what? Guess what else happened?
Let me just waft that into an inferno because that kid has got it coming.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's really funny. I'm in the other room cheering too.
Right,
Whenever
yes.
whenever we get to that point, I'm like, tell them. You can tell them what's up. That's right.
Well, and I mean, whoever wasn't in trouble would be sitting next to you eating popcorn.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
being like, or they're cleaning something. Those were that was
Yeah, it's like,
one
downstairs
kid
at the
gets
table.
Very
someone,
smart.
Someone is getting
Very
The
just
one
smart.
starts cleaning immediately.
chewed out for 45 minutes, and then like in the background they're just pushing the broom, just like cleaning the windows.
Yes.
The windows. Hey,
Yeah.
Mom, do you want me to clean out the refrigerator?
Mom,
I'll just
Mom,
do it anyway.
I was
okay.
thinking about taking all the garbage out and separating the recycling. If you would like me to do that immediately, it's already done.
We've got a ganging up on problem in our house where if anyone ever gets in
Oh,
trouble, the
yeah.
other one's like, yeah, that's right. And you should have heard what else he said. Like, it's like, and then whenever anyone says anything, it's like, yeah, you hear that? Like, it's like,
Yep.
it's like by committee. And so we have to really be like, wait, hold on.
Let's
Yeah.
not gang up on
We are
them.
talking
We're
to
just-
him about
I
something
did
specific, yeah.
nip that in the bud really early on with the because the ordinal position
Uh-huh.
is crazy. Like
It-
the fact how much birth order
Oh,
plays into how we be in the world just blows my mind all the time. And so, a younger sibling is getting in trouble for something and the two older siblings are like, yeah, I've been telling you.
Finally.
And also blah, 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 blah happened. And it's like, no, like
Yeah.
you need to go away.
that's right.
So once they learned that wasn't going to be the vibe, and if you did that, I'm
More
probably going to
trouble.
be like,
Yes.
because you're not innocent either.
That's right.
Like, do you want this heat-seeking
Yeah, let's
missile
talk
of
about what
anger?
you're on.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, let's
This
bring
is
up
like-
your imperfections of the week.
Because
Yes.
in my head, this is just like, has anyone seen the movie The Hunt for Red October?
Uh-huh.
Because there's an end where like one of the submarines launches a missile or a torpedo, and it like misses a target, and then it's just like floating around until it finds another target.
Yeah, it's
until it
looking
finds
for
it's like,
something.
oh crap, here it is. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's a rogue torpedo of anger, and
So that's
don't
when
be
the-
dumb enough.
Yeah.
That's when the switch happened where it was like, rather than
Yeah.
ganging up on, we're going to be the golden
That's
child
right.
today.
Let me show you how good I am.
Right.
Did you know I got an A++++?
You're so beautiful, mother. That happens to us sometimes. We'll
Yeah.
get, I love you.
That is
I love
yeah.
you. It's like,
I took the liberty of making tea and warming some crumpets
that's
for
right.
you.
It's little Tot all the way.
Yes,
As
all the time.
soon as things get a little hot, he's helping with the baby.
You're so pretty.
yes.
You look so pretty today.
complimenting.
Uh-huh. It's very cute.
All the love. And
He's smart boy.
He
Yeah.
is very smart.
Mhm.
He's the best.
How was your day? How's your morning been, Mummy?
Don't ask me.
Yeah.
Oh man.
All right, we're at about an hour.
Well, good job.
Any
friends.
final thoughts?
Not off the top of my head. I don't have any final thoughts.
All I can say is thanks for making me a stepdad.
Oh.
I appreciate
Oh,
it.
man.
Because I knew Matt was going to say it too, but I just want to get ahead of it first. But seriously though, it's been a challenge, but a good one.
I do have
for being
one.
a wonderful husband and also for being an amazing stepdad.
Oh, stop.
Fucking
And-
newlyweds.
No, your turn. Your turn.
And father. And
Newlywed shit over here.
I know, right? Yes.
They just brought it right around with the
I was
newlywed
gonna say.
Say the
bookends
closing
here.
door. That's right.
I heard that was just an example of a couple that's been married less than 5 years.
when you still need to hear all
We had to
that,
represent.
you know,
You gotta
hear it.
represent.
You gotta
you
represent.
know?
You really do.
It's still
really do.
early.
It's the sweetness, all the sweetness. I do have one final question for the both of you.
Okay.
What has been like so far, anyway? What has been the best part about stepping in and being step parents?
I mean, for me, now that like the kids are transitioning to adults, right? It's like it's a different phase of relationship when you're parenting adults as opposed to like adolescents and teenagers. And then now I got like 3 cool friends, like forever. You know, like 3 cool friends that I have in my life and love, and I'm just really thankful that I connect with each of them in different ways about different stuff. And it goes back to like the hosting where it's like, oh man, I really can't wait to see them at home in our house again, and that's always going to be true. So like, and without, I wouldn't really have that otherwise. So yeah,
Totally.
very thankful.
Yeah, same here. I think the friendships, it's like, I feel like although it's a challenge, there's a lack of pressure that comes with having stepchildren, that it's like, yo, at the end of the day, like, I'm your stepdad. You know, like it's not 100% on me.
Yeah.
You know, like that there's somebody else involved that it has decision-making power in a way where it's like, I get to be your cheerleader. I get to see you and hype you up and like just be like the fun dad, you know, like
Yeah.
I get to be the, if you don't want me to discipline, that's cool.
Right.
You know, like I'll just be the guy on the side that's like, it's okay. Like it's okay.
Yeah, I very much like the team aspect, and this would
Yeah.
happen whenever we would mainly go to like Abby sports games or Madeline's cheer competitions or things like that. Like everyone would go, like we would all be there in this weird Modern Family type amalgamation of people that have collided in this universe,
Yeah.
right? And it make this kind of amazing, beautiful thing to help each other grow and be supportive. And yeah, I mean, like the Abby's field hockey games, I'd look around and be like, this is wild and crazy, and I
Yeah.
love that we're all here right now.
It's a
and
beautiful
like, this is a
thing.
thing, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's that. It's definitely that. It's like such an honor. I feel like I like somehow got lucky and
Yeah.
like fell into this, and it makes me believe in like fate, like in the universe, because I'm like soulmates with these 2 kids.
Yep.
Like it's like I was made to be your stepdad exactly and fit in this puzzle of 3 parents and 2 families and younger brothers and older sisters that I don't even have impact to and access to. So it's a beautiful thing, definitely.
Right on.
In a way, I do feel like this is the modern version of how a community or a tribe used to raise human beings.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Totally.
it's the modern iteration of that. Like when we existed outside of this idea that the nuclear family was the standard and that's where we kind of hole up and all of our love and all of our attention is directed in this little nuclear family, which hasn't actually been a thing that long.
No.
Prior to that, it was like you had all of these extensions and people. And I think when we were younger too, there was more of like the aunts and the
Oh my God, yeah.
uncles
Totally.
and like there were so many people raising us. And as time goes on, there's less of that. I mean, how many people are single parenting? How many people are, it is mom and dad or mom and mom. There's 2 main characters teaching these human beings how to be. And when you have this extended modern family of step parents and bonus parents and you know, and you guys have, you know, half siblings even, like
Yeah.
the way that grows out to me feels like the modern version of a tribe raising a family, and how important it is for kids to know that there are all of these different ways of being in the world besides this is the representation of the protective parent. This is the representation of the nurturing parent. Like, you have so many examples of that. The wider that net is, and the more people, the more adults that your children have in their lives that they can trust and you can trust. So it's interesting. I think that, you know, I remember what a hullabaloo it was when we were young when I was young, and people would get divorced, and it was like, oh, this is the end of the world, man.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh my God.
You know,
Yeah.
these poor kids.
Mhm.
And I'm like, these kids have like
Their life's
7
amazing.
birthday celebrations.
Exactly. 3 Christmases.
Things are
Like
great.
85 grandparents are happening at this point. Like, how many grandparents do our kids have?
Oh my
Jesus.
God. Yes.
You know, I think when I look at it through that lens, it feels like this new structure, if it can be done well, it can be really beneficial.
Yeah.
And it's so new. Like the shame, like you said, like even today, the shame is still just going away from that type of blended families, you know,
Yep.
and it's sweet to be a part of this generation that's doing it.
Yeah.
You know, that's for sure.
Nice. Way to bring it home, guys.
That's right.
All
Josh
right.
and Jeannie, you can always count on you to bring it home.
We're really good at that.
You are good at that.
We're
I
good
love it.
Summarizers.
Love it. For Wi-Fi Pod, thanks for joining us, everyone. This is Matt.
This is Jeannie.
Francine.
And this is Josh.
See you next time.